It's 8:15. We have continuing coverage now of the indictment of New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Joining us right now is former city controller Scott Stringer. He's also has an exploratory committee formed to potentially challenge the mayor in the next election if we even get to that point, right? So let's talk about what exactly can unfold. Mr. Stringer, great to have you here.
Good morning. Nice to be back.
So last night we had the current comptroller, Brad Lander, on the Pix 11 Evening News at 10. He's also running for mayor, right? He says the mayor should step down so that leadership can focus on the problems New Yorkers are facing. Are you in agreement with that? Should the mayor step down right now and resign?
Yes, the answer is he should resign. He has to resign. Look, he has a lot to focus on. He has to prove his innocence. Remember, this is a charge, not a conviction. But while he's doing his thing, fighting for his survival, we have to fight for the survival of New York City. We know this government has been paralyzed for far too long. We know that the city of yes is really the city of no. Nothing is getting done. We need new leadership. We need forceful leadership. We've got to address issues of housing and health care. We've got to make sure our kids are getting educated. And most importantly, we need to have a government that is ethical, that leads the nation in ethics and transparency. And that has not been the mission of this administration. I'm sad by this. I'm a New Yorker. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. But I have to say right now, he has to step aside for the good of the city, focus on what he needs to do, and let the government get transformed as quickly as possible. While people will speculate about succession and politics, I think we can all agree that we need the biggest city in the world to act like the biggest city in the world and get back to doing big things.
Yeah, but the mayor's been very adamant. He says he's innocent. He's done nothing wrong. He can continue to do his job. So if he doesn't resign, which likely he will not, do you think the governor should step in and remove him?
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I actually don't share your view respectfully. I think it's going to be very hard to govern in the coming days. I think you're going to see an exodus of staffers. I think you're going to see the business community, the social service community, the people who work day to day with the mayor saying, look, for the good of the city, you got to go. And so I think that has to play out. But I also think he respectfully needs some time to talk to his advisors, to his lawyers, and make a decision that's good for him and also good for the city.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we're asking about the governor is because that's a real possibility. He came out last night and said, I'm not going anywhere. I will call for my day in court. So when you look at it, right, and if all the hypotheticals play out and Jumaane Williams becomes mayor, and I know you're going to say we're getting ahead of ourselves, we have to talk about this, right? There's a special election then that takes place. You're a candidate potentially for mayor. Are you on the ballot for a special election, and the others who have already announced that they're running for mayor? Is that how it plays out?
Look, I'll be totally transparent. I mean, I had a timeline for a decision based on a June primary, but I've called an emergency meeting of the family. I've got to talk to my kids before I make any formal decision. But look, I think that I have the experience. I think I have the maturity and the ability to bring the city together. We need someone who understands finances, who's audited every city agency, who has a 30-year career. Look, I've worked in Albany. I'm a former borough president. And for 8 years, I was the city controller. If this is any time where I think I can make the biggest difference, it's this moment. And I'm going to talk to the kids, talk to my wife, and make a decision if we have to move up the timetable.
I mean, I think a lot of folks are asking for transparency right now, the people living here in the city, because they don't think right now that the city is under any kind of certain leadership. So since you are so involved in city politics, what's happening behind the scenes right now? How are they trying to make sure that the city keeps running?
Look, I think it's a real challenge when you have multiple people high up in administration that are under federal investigation, some getting indicted. It takes hold of an administration. Look, I've been around during City Fiscal and the last round of indictment back some 25 years ago, and the government was paralyzed then. But the difference here is it's the top leadership that they are circling around, and that does create a feeling of, look, we got to take care of us first. That's fine, but that's why you step aside. You don't presume guilt or innocence, and then you bring in the best experienced leadership you can.
So what happens then, right? If he does and all that happens and Jumaane Williams becomes the interim mayor until a special election, we have vacancies, right? So, and these are all hypotheticals, but I feel like they need to be talked about for a New Yorker to understand. Does Jumaane Williams hire interim commissioners to run departments until there's a special election?
Yeah, I think Jumaane will make the smart decisions. He knows that under the charter, this could have always happened. He's been public advocate and a very good person. I think he's going to look not just to run, but also to govern, and he should have that opportunity. At the same time, I'm going to offer my candidacy to talk about my vision, experience, and the leadership that I think we need to bring to bear at City Hall. Look, I've traveled this city for many, many years. I've been in the shuls, I've been in the churches. I have literally been to every single community board. I understand community-based planning, and I also am raising my two little kids, not little anymore, in middle school, and I understand their challenges and their friends' challenges. I want to keep people in the city. No one wants to leave and go to Florida or Texas. Then you got to live there. People want to stay here, but we have to go back to the compact we used to have in government before this administration, which is open space, park space, affordable housing, cultural diversity. Make this the greatest city in the world. No one will leave. People will pay taxes, and then we will build the city. That's got to be the goal, whoever is the next mayor of New York City, but it won't be Eric Adams.
All right, Scott Stringer, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you guys.